To the Law and Crime Network. I'm Michael Bryant. It is good to have you along on a Friday. Hope you've got some fancy weekend plans lined up. And only from the, I guess your mother cares, but nobody else does department. Got a haircut. Look at that. You know you need a haircut when they cut it and you've got like tan lines in the back. I needed a haircut. Anyway, more importantly, lots of stuff on the agenda today. We've got closing arguments that took place earlier today in the Josh Sills trial. This is the NFL player charged with one count of first-degree rape, one count of first-degree kidnapping. Remember, he was in his truck taking the alleged victim home after a little bar hopping that night. And according to the victim, she was forced to have sex with the defendant in the truck. This basically boiled down to forced oral copulation. Apparently he held her head down, had a ponytail, using that to restrain her. So there's a kidnapping charge and the rape charge. This allegedly took place in the pickup truck. However, Sills was not indicted for this crime until February of this year. So we're going to recap those closing arguments from today a little bit later on in the show. Meanwhile, in Broward County, Florida, a motions hearing took place ahead of the retrial for rapper YNW Melly. His real name, of course, Jamel Demons. The South Florida rapper first trial ended in a hung jury. We learned more about that. If you haven't seen this, one of the jury members spoke. And apparently it was over, there was word about, was it more likely to be a hung jury because they couldn't convict or because they couldn't find not guilty? Interesting, and we're going to talk about that too, what the split in that jury was. So it was 2 counts of first-degree murder. This shooting in 2018 killed Christopher Thomas Jr. and Anthony Williams. His retrial now slated for October 9th, so we'll recap what happened in that hearing because other stuff did, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But first, boy, this case, I get the feeling we're going to be talking about this case over time. The Gilgo Beach serial killings. Authorities have identified a new victim. The Suffolk County DA's Attorney's Office held a press conference earlier today announcing the name of the victim. They originally referred to, of course, as Jane Doe. This is important. We've always thought there was a 4th victim, but it was from 2007. That isn't this victim. Watch.
I'm here with our fellow task force members to announce the identity of what has formerly been known as Fire Island Jane Doe. On April 20th, 1996, female remains consisting of legs and feet were found on the bayside shore of Fire Island, about a mile west of Davis Park Beach. Then, approximately 15 years later, on April 11, 2011, additional remains consisting of a skull were discovered at Tobay Beach in Nassau County. That skull was found following the discovery of the remains of Jessica Taylor, and the skull was found on the same day as the remains of what is commonly come to be referred to as Peaches was found on Jones Beach. Thereafter, in July of 2011, the Suffolk County Crime Lab linked the 2 sets of remains via DNA analysis. And by that I mean the legs that were found in the vicinity of Davis Park Street in Manhattan, and was believed to be working as an escort at the time of her disappearance. There was no missing persons complaint filed at the time of that disappearance. In August of 2022, approximately 6 months after we formed this Gilgo task force, a DNA profile suitable for genealogical comparison was developed from the remains of Karen Vergata. In September of 2022, the FBI was able via a genetic genealogy review to identify Ms. Vergata presumptively as Fire Island Jane Doe. Thereafter, in October of 2022, using a buccal swab from a relative of Karen Vergata, we were able to definitively identify her. Prior to disclosing this information, of course, we needed to contact all of Ms. Vergata's family members. And additionally, at or around the same time, we were beginning our grand jury confidential investigation into what has been known as the Gilgo 4. It's important to note that there are no charges at this time. Ms. Vergata's disappearance was in 1996, which is 27 years ago. We are going to continue to work this particular case as we did the Gilgo 4 investigation. We're going to have no comment on what, if any, suspects we developed at this time. This is a confidential investigation, so I'm not going to be taking any questions, but our investigation is continuing, and thank you all very much.
So Ray Tierney announcing that yet another victim that they believe is the work of Rex Heuermann. And interestingly, Ray Tierney, who just took the job in January, is going to handle this case, as in be the trial attorney. So that is unusual to see the DA for any given area be the actual boots on the ground in the courtroom. So also interesting that, you know, they've called this the Gilgo 4 forever. 3 are currently charges that Heuermann is facing. That's for Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and also Amber Costello. But there was the fourth, uncharged at this point, is still uncharged, and that's the suspect from the victim from 2007. And that one we thought might be the subject of today, like we're bringing those charges. That was not it. We have another victim, Karen Vergata, 1996, Fire Island. Here to talk about this case and everything else we have on the docket today, Katherine Lizardo is here. She's a trial attorney in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And also Natalie Whittingham-Burrell. She's a criminal defense attorney. Thank you both for being here. You know, Natalie, this is going to be one of those cases that as a slow play, you know, where we're going to continue to learn more and more about more and more likely or potential victims, and this guy's reign of terror, which we now know based on this latest finding, 1996. What's your take on this, and is this just the beginning?
I think that we've opened Pandora's box here. I mean, I know from my own research that there have been many bodies found in that area, including the body of a child. It's kind of unbelievable that multiple killers would be burying all in the same spot. And so I think that we're in for a roller coaster here, and it's actually terrifying when you think of it, that this one person, whoever it may be, who's Mr. Heuermann, is presumed to be innocent, but there may be one person out there responsible for the death of at least 4 people dating back to the 90s. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and that is a good point. Obviously, he's innocent until proven guilty. The evidence is pretty heavy against him. However, it does suggest one person did it. That's kind of inescapable, and that is frightening. Katherine, you know, the modern technology which led to his ultimate capture is amazing. And if I've learned anything, it's a good thing that I eat all the crust on my pizza, because that is how they found this guy. You know, some shredded. You know, my wife doesn't eat the crust either. Give me the crust. It's the best part of the pizza. But that's how this guy got nailed. It's beautiful. The tool is amazing, and I think it's going to lead to more. What are your thoughts on this case?
I agree. I mean, I don't eat the pizza crust too. Now I have to think twice about that. But in terms of what you were saying about technology, it is amazing how this new victim that they identified, Karen Vergata, she died or was missing in 1996, and now they were able to identify her to the remains they found to the skull remains they found in 2011. That's fascinating scientifically, and also amazing for the family of that victim, because now they can at least find a closure for her.
You know, let me ask you this, Natalie, before we take a break here. You know, the victims all appear to be in the trade, the sex worker business, escort, however you want to describe that. That makes it sometimes harder to track them down, less likely somebody's going to report them missing. So whoever did this, do you think it was some sort of I'm cleaning up society approach or easy victim approach? What do you think?
I think it's an easy victim approach because your average person, average woman, that is not in the sex trade, you know, going home, going to school, going to work, is not as likely to be available to an opportunistic killer who can just go and pick up a woman who is working in the sex trade. And then it's a kind of vicious cycle, because women that are working in the sex trade are less protected by law enforcement. They don't believe that they are missing. Sometimes they think the woman just ran away. Family members may not be looking for them, or if they are, they're not taken seriously. And so it makes it easier to go undetected. So they'll continue to target women in that population of vulnerable people simply because they're easy to get to and it's harder to get detected when you're targeting them. So I don't think it has anything to do with cleaning up society. I think it has something to do with getting the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate on a number of levels where you have authorities who don't have the connection they might need to really truly investigate, and maybe it's a lower profile and lower priority for them for those same reasons. That what can they do with so little to work with, or people disappearing and having potentially other reasons they did disappear, not the result of something like this. We're going to follow this, of course, for as long as it takes for it to play out. Rex Heuermann accused of more than 3 killings, we believe at this point, and we don't know where this is going to end, but we will keep you posted as it continues to unfold. So one of our more interesting recent trials, the Mellie case, is coming back, and they had a hearing today in the Jamel Demons double murder case. We'll get to that right after this. There we are.